Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Motive to be Productive. I'm Daria, your host, and today, joining us from London, England, is Noor Soussi, modern and contemporary Middle Eastern art specialist at Bonhams Auction House. First of all, Noor, I would like to say welcome. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation, and we're very excited to be hosting you.
Thank you very much, Daria, for having me on such a wonderful platform. I look forward to having this discussion. Thanks a lot.
Same here, and welcome. We're really delighted to be hosting you. So, Noor, let's start from the beginning, where all the excitement and the passion, about art started. So can you please explain to us, first give us a bit about your background, and
Sure.
then let's jump in to your passion for fine arts, which led you to to pursue your degree in fine arts.
Okay, well, to begin, my name is Noor Soussi. I'm 28 years old. My mother is Iranian, my father is Libyan, and I was born and raised in Abu Dhabi. I'm currently residing in London, and I've been in London for 10 years. I moved to London to study fine arts at Chelsea College of Art and Design. And I'm currently working at Bonhams Auction House, and I've been working at Bonhams for the past 4 years. And I'm now a specialist in the Middle Eastern art department. And I'm also a triplet, which I know a lot of people find interesting. Two boys,
Very much.
young men and I. I mean, my passion for fine arts began at a very young age. I've always loved arts and craft, and the schools that I've been in and the British school that I was in for my GCSEs and A-levels had a wonderful arts and design program, which allowed me then to really explore and push my boundaries when it came to the different art practices there is. So that's how it started. That's how I began my passion and my love for art making, but also for art history and the different art movements there are out there.
So from UAE, you moved to England,
Yeah.
and you went to one of the most prestigious and tough schools in fine arts. And please share with us, how was the overall experience, and um, what were the challenges for you?
I started off at Chelsea College of Art and Design doing a foundation course in art and design. So that entailed fine arts, a 3D and spatial design, graphic design and visual communications, and fashion and textiles. And I was able to explore all those different practices. And then at the end of my 1 year foundation course, I decided that what I wanted to pursue was fine arts. And then I stayed on at Chelsea to do a fine art course, my bachelor degree in fine art. Overall, it was a really great experience. I have to say that it was very independent learning. We did see our art teachers. However, our teachers and tutors were also art practitioners themselves, so they had their own art practice to also focus on. However, it was really wonderful to be able to meet them a couple times each term and discuss my work and see how my work's progressed. We had seminars which allowed us to engage with other artists and other students. And obviously I learned a lot about art history. It was both practical based and theory based. So a lot of it was practical based, where I was doing a lot of painting, photography, mixed media artworks, But then also, I dove into a lot of art history, notably art history from my region, being the Middle East, and specifically focusing on female Middle Eastern art practices, such as the work of Shirin Nashat. And yeah, that's how my
It's going.
my university experience was. It was very rewarding, and it led me to be here at Bonhams and pursue a career in the art world.
So I wondered, you brought up your professors and how they were themselves art practitioners. Um, did that engagement have any effect on you choosing to, you know, go work in a prestigious auction house? Because I assume you guys have a lot of, the engagements with artists and their work because you're sourcing their works. And tell us about that link, that connection.
I definitely think that there is a link between my engagement with the students back at Chelsea, but also, as I said, the tutors who, as mentioned, they're art practitioners themselves. That definitely led me to be able to engage with the artists that I now deal with, emerging artists, but also dealing with artists that are older, that are more established. So yeah, I definitely think there's a link there, and if it wasn't for my experience at Chelsea and the discussions and the debates I had with my tutors, and all the critical thinking and the advice, I wouldn't be where I am now, and I wouldn't be able to have that experience with my colleagues, but also the artists and the people in the industry that I deal with now.
So it's very interesting that you're telling us about all these, interactions, debates, which I'm a big fan of, and it's very exciting. Now, moving forward to your career. Now you're working at Bonhams. You are a specialist in the Middle Eastern Modern and Contemporary Arts Department. So can you tell us what are some of your duties?
Sure.
And we'll go deep further into how, an auction is conducted. But
Sure.
we'll get into that a bit further.
Sure. So I started working at Bonhams in 2016 as a junior cataloger. And since then, I've progressed to becoming a specialist in the Modern and Contemporary Middle Eastern Art department. Our main focus in the department is 20th and 21st century Middle Eastern art. Middle Eastern meaning Iranian, Arab, and Turkish art. More specifically, Arab and Iranian art. My duty and my role in the department and in Bonhams overall is I have several duties and things that I need to be doing for our auctions to be able to happen. One is being able to value artworks that come in. So when clients, when private collectors or dealers come to us wanting their artworks to be valued, for us to put a valuation and estimate on their works, I'm able to do that. I'm able to look at the works and give evaluation and give my honest opinion on what, how much we think it would fetch at auction, whether we think it's the right time for the piece or this specific artist to be at auction or in the market, depending on how the market is doing and depending on how strong that artist's auction market is. From there, after one values the artwork, clients would most probably like to consign works to our auction. So so what happens is I business get, meaning obviously now due to the pandemic I haven't been able to travel to source material. However, we've been very fortunate that that last year we did manage to get a lot of very, very strong pieces for our sales, despite not being able to travel. We are used to traveling to Paris, to Lebanon, to Egypt, to actually go to go there and source our material from different collectors and whatnot, people that we know, people that we've heard of. And this time around we weren't able to. However, we still, from a distance, we were still able to value artworks and put estimates on them and get them shipped here and have them included in our auctions. What happens is at the moment we have 4 auctions a year: 2 live auctions and 2 mid-season online auctions. In our live auctions, we usually have about 80 to 90, actually even sometimes over 100 lots, so items, whether it's paintings, whether it's sculptures, it can be photography, mainly paintings, I'll be honest, but we do have a lot of, we do also include works, sculptures and photography in our sales. And most of the works that we include in our live auctions are by artists that are established and world renowned, so they already have an auction market. However, we do also include a number of works by less known, more emerging artists and contemporary. But actually, one thing to point out is that our focus mainly is modern art. So our focus is mainly 20th century art as opposed to 21st.
So before we so thank you for the complete explanation. So before we move further into the details of how an auction is conducted from before the auction day to the auction day itself, I would like to ask you something. Since you mentioned valuation and you mentioned you have to travel a lot to see pieces, how are you valuing them now that, because as a result of the pandemic, there are restrictions on traveling. So how are you able to value them right now from not being able to look at it from a close range?
Yep. So that's a very good question, and we initially we thought it might be challenging, and we being able to source material and to be able to value works without actually seeing them in flesh. But what we require from clients is to send us lots of images, high-res images of the work, from the front of the painting to the back of the painting, the signature. We need, it's very, very, very important for us to first of all know where the work is coming from, so the provenance of the work. how the work was acquired. So how did this collector, how did this client, how did this dealer acquire and this piece? Okay, so it's really important when it comes to authenticity. We need to authenticate the work. We need to see that the work is genuine, is authentic. So we need to get as much information as possible from the client and do our own research as well. Obviously, given that we're specialists, what we should be able to by just looking at a work, see whether it's genuine, it's real or not. However, it can't sometimes it can be difficult because people do forge artworks, even Middle Eastern artworks, believe it or not, and they can make them look very genuine and even as good or better than the real thing. So it's very important for us to get as much information, images. We need to know the date of the work. We need to know the dimension. We need to look into all the information that they've provided us to see if it's legitimate or not. So we've also been having meetings with clients over Zoom where they're able to show their work on video, but images to begin with. And then once we have enough confidence that the work is authentic, is valuable, is worth including in our auction, we will we'll draw up a draft contract and get the work shipped to London. And once we get it shipped, we can have a closer look and inspection on the works and see whether they're as good as they seemed on photo or on video. So despite the challenges of not being able to see the work, we've managed to get a lot of good pieces into our auctions during the pandemic. Yeah.
So without going into details, have there been incidences that a collector has shipped their work to London, but when you see that piece from a close range, it's not what it was on the video? Have you ever encountered those incidences?
Yes. We've encountered them as in our department, but also other departments have encountered it. In close inspection, one sees that, either the signature doesn't seem right, or there's a lot of ways of looking into works. But one other thing that we do for high value pieces, if we have doubts about the authenticity of the work, is we send the work to a third-party company called Art Analysis that is able to do pigment analysis and tell you exactly when this painting was made. Because a lot of the time it's not just a lot of the time it's a case that people will forge a work and make it look like it's an older work, but it turns out that it's not. By doing pigment analysis and looking into the paint and the pigment and the coloring and all of that, they are able to give you a proper evaluation and analysis on the piece to tell you that, actually, no, this work was not executed in 1960s. It's a very recent work, and automatically that rings alarm bells, because that makes that immediately you'll think, okay, well, that's something is definitely not right with that. And so yes, we have had incidents where this kind of thing has happened before putting works into auction, or so it's very important to do the due diligence and to know the client, to know where they source the work from, and and it is very important to be able to see it in flesh. But given the circumstances, we try to do our best, and then if we think it's worth shipping over, we ship over to London, where me and my colleague are able to have a proper look at the piece.
So people see, the auction, they don't see the process behind it. And as we're learning today, you guys put a lot of work behind the scenes and pre-auction day. So can you please explain to us now how is an auction conducted? What is the process of an auction from the day you decide to purchase a piece or, as you mentioned, source of material? Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Source. Yes. Okay. So what happens? We have a date for an auction. Let's say the June 25th, and prior to the auction, it's all about sourcing material, gathering up material, meaning artworks that clients would like to consign to our auction. Once we value the works, we give an auction estimate. So we give an estimate to the client for the piece. Let's say a painting by, let's say, Sohrab Sehbehri, we say 150 to 250,000 pounds is the auction range. Okay, so the low estimate to the high estimate, the reserve would be 150,000 pounds. We agree on a vendor commission, a consignor commission, the seller commission, and we agree on the estimate. We generate a contract. Once we generate a contract and the contract is signed by the vendor, we have the artwork shipped to London. We have it shipped to London, where then the process is we catalog the work. We obviously, we look at the work, we catalog it, and then we have it photographed, the back, the front, and we do that with every work. And then what happens is, once we're done cataloging everything, the whole point of cataloging the works, meaning putting in on our system, putting in the dimensions, the medium, the date, the artist, the provenance of the work, and everything is for our catalog. So at every auction, we have a catalog that goes with the auction, and the catalog will include obviously an image of the work, the lot description, but also an essay, an article on the piece itself or on the artist. So we do take a lot of time to write these articles, to write about the work. The more information we have on the piece or on the artist, the better. The more we're able to, market the work, and clients. I mean, our clients want as much information as possible. You want to know the backstory. A lot of these work have very interesting backstories and have been in very important or interesting collections. So it's really important to have all this information in our catalog. So yeah, it's a process of valuing the works, getting them consigned to our auction, bringing them to London, then cataloging the items, writing about that works, making sure they're photographed, making sure if some of the works are not in great condition, we can get them restored. So another thing is, if a work is not in good condition, is in bad condition, but it's still valuable, it's still an important piece, we will have a professional restorer come in and have a look at it and do a little bit and restore whatever is necessary, just so that, let's say there's flaking on the painting, we do it just to avoid it getting damaged further. Obviously, there are works from like the 30s, 40s, 50s, and some have they're not in great condition, and they haven't been preserved very well, and they haven't been taken care of. So sometimes you have flaking, sometimes you have dents, you have all these different things that could be an issue with the art piece, and it's best to have it restored a bit or cleaned. Sometimes there's a lot of dust, and we just need a light surface clean. So we make sure that our professional restorer and conservators can do that. And then if any works are not mounted or framed, we go and we get the works framed, mounted, because another thing that we do prior to the auction day itself is that we have a viewing, a gallery viewing, where we exhibit the pieces for people, for public viewing. We have lovely gallery spaces at Bonhams worldwide, but our New Bond Street office or premises is has 3 gallery spaces, and we're able to exhibit our works in the gallery space for people to come and view the works prior to auction, not just in the catalog, but obviously a lot of our clients are abroad, so yeah.
So is that the best time for showing people, or let me rephrase my question. Is that the first time that the client, the potential client, sees the piece before they can bid on them? So let's say someone comes to one of your galleries and sees a piece and they like it, so they'll remember it and they bid on it in the auction day, correct?
Yeah. So it's usually the case that that a client will see the work a few days or a week before a potential buyer or client, will see the work, or potential bidder will see the work if they're in London. It is a case that at the pre-pandemic, pre-lockdown and pre-corona, a lot of our clients travel to London during that time to come and view the pieces, because not only do we have auctions happening, but also Sotheby's and Christie's. It's usually the case when we the Middle Eastern art sales are taking place around the same time, around the same week. So so clients travel from Dubai, from Lebanon, to come and see the works that are on view and that are being auctioned.
So can you please explain to us the bidding process itself?
Sure.
So how does that work? Because even for people who are not very familiar with auctions, but the term bidding is more familiar because it's where the public excitement emerges, and I think that's where everyone is in competition with each other to try and purchase what they're looking for. So let's get into that.
So basically the bidding process, or the different means of being able to bid, are you could bid live in the auction room on the day. You're able to bid online, so on our website, and we now have the very good app, a Bonhams app, that you can bid on our app. You can leave an absentee bid. Leaving an absentee bid means leaving. So let's say you're unable to come and attend the auction, or you're unable to be on the telephone with one of one of the Bonhams staff.
Representatives.
You need to, you leave a bid. You sign a form. You sign the bidding form. You leave the maximum amount that you're willing to go up to. So so there's absentee bid, bidding live, bidding online, and bidding on the phone. The most popular way of bidding, it seems, is bidding either online or bidding on the telephone, meaning that a client will ask to bid on let's say lot 10, 11, 12, and 13 and 14, and would like to be on the phone with one of the Bonhams representatives, i.e. me, and I will be on the phone. I will call the client on the day of the auction, when the auction is about to take place, and bid over the telephone on behalf of the client. So there are several ways that one is able to bid at auction.
So how, generally asking, usually how long does that bidding take place? So in terms of the timeline, so how long does that take?
So it depends, right? We have auctions that are only some auctions can be only 30 lots. Some auctions can have over 100 lots. We have very big, like Chinese auctions, that have over 300 lots in their sale or 400 lots in their sale, and that can take hours and hours. So some auctions are spread out between 2 days. With us, with the Middle Eastern sales, it's usually the case that our lot, as I mentioned earlier, we have around 80 to 100 lots per sale, and usually depending on the auctioneer, because some auctioneers like to take their time when it comes to each lot. Some, I don't want to say rush, but some go a bit faster. But generally speaking, our auctions usually take between 2 and 3 hours from start to end.
So,
Obviously, yeah.
so it's very interesting. 2 to 3 hours of excitement, and then everyone's waiting to see what's going to happen. So let me ask you this: moving forward, now we're in a COVID period where the world has changed, and obviously this has affected your work as well. So can you please share with us? I realized that you mentioned you've had online auctions pre-COVID as well. However, we would like to know, how has this coronavirus pandemic affected your work?
Okay, so luckily last year we did end up having an extremely successful year, given the lockdown, given the restrictions, given the fact that clients were unable to view the items in person. When we started lockdown I believe in March, we were already in April. In April, we were meant to have an auction. We were meant to have a live auction in April, which got postponed to June. In March, when we went into lockdown, we already catalogued all the works that were going into our April auction. Our catalogue was going to print just before the first full lockdown that we had. So we were fortunate that we had already sourced the material, we already catalogued everything, and our catalogue was going to print. The only thing was that we had to wait until June in order to go ahead with our live auction. Obviously, that caused a big disruption, because a lot of auctions had to be delayed and had to be delayed till the summer. However, we managed to make it work. Our June auction, we weren't able to have a viewing, obviously, because we were still in semi-lockdown at the time. However, catalogs went out. People were able to view the works online more than ever during the pandemic. People had more time to go online, to do some shopping, to see what's out there, so actually we did get a lot of business, a lot of people, a lot of new clients that came up. We made sure we have a very, very, very we have a great marketing team that was able,
And a reputable brand, correct?
Yeah, that was able to put out all sorts of marketing material out there. So we ended up getting a large amount of interest for our sale, even more than we ever had. So the June auction was very successful. However, what we did was the difference between our regular live auction and the auctions we've had during the pandemic has been that these auctions are live auctions behind closed doors. Behind closed doors means that if the difference between an online and a live auction behind closed doors is that for a live auction behind closed doors, it's just on the day. So it's exactly like a regular live auction, where there's an auctioneer where on the day, and where we're telephone bidding. The only difference is that clients could not physically come into the auction room. So clients were not able to come in and participate live or come in and view the items. Whereas for an online only auction, the online auction, when we have online auctions, it's strictly online. So there's no auctioneer. It's literally the case that we put our sale onto our website. You have a duration of 2 weeks where it's open for bidding. So during that 2 weeks, you can only bid online. You cannot bid any other way, and you can bid as much as you want during the space of the 2 weeks. And you can see if you're outbid. You can see the bidding amount on each lot. Okay, whereas a live auction, you're able to put an absentee bid prior to the auction. However, you don't know what the bids are until the day of the auction, until the auctioneer, because the auctioneer starts from lot 1, let's say, to 100, and as it progresses, you'll know if, let's say, if you've won a bid or not, depending on, if you've left an absentee bid or you're on the phone. But live, as I've just said, the live auction behind closed doors, is pretty much the same as a regular auction. However, yes, it is quite
pre-COVID and post-COVID.
However, it is a big deal that clients were not able. You would think it is a big deal that clients were not able to actually come and view the works in person. However, we still had an extremely successful 2 sales. Even more successful than we've ever had for our department,
and it's fantastic, right?
Yeah, it's been really good for us, which is wonderful. It seems like clients were spending
more time,
online,
as you said,
and
it had more time to shop around, right?
Exactly. I would say more time and money to spend, since everyone's locked up inside and can't be out and about and traveling and whatnot. So we ended up making it work. We have a wonderful team at Bonhams, from the art technicians to our photographers to the specialists, everyone that to our porters that were great support when it came to making our auctions work during this really difficult time, because obviously not everyone was in every day, and we had to follow certain rules and regulations. But regardless, we ended up making it work. Yeah.
A major salute to all of your colleagues, because I think it's very hard, especially now that there are tight rules and regulations in place. So let me ask you this: how did you personally cope with this pandemic?
So it's a very good question.
Thank you.
Obviously, it's been challenging for everyone on different degrees. Everyone's going through things, no matter who you are. The pandemic has affected you or someone in one shape or form. I've been very fortunate that I have a group of friends that have encouraged me from day one, from the beginning of the pandemic, to focus on myself, focus on my health, focus on my fitness. I have friends that are yoga instructors, and we from the beginning of the pandemic, we were doing meditation and yoga every week, couple days a week. I made an effort to exercise pretty much, at least for the first few months of pandemic, I was exercising every day, even if it's for 20 minutes or half an hour. I was getting in my exercise, because at the end of the day, your health is the most important thing. And given the fact that with COVID, the whole thing is that you need to have a strong immune system. You need to take care of your body. You need to take care of your mind. So I made an effort of every morning sitting, meditating, even if it's for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. You don't need to be meditating for longer than that, but just to be silent, just to be present, just to be focusing on your breath, is so important to start your day with. And then from there, I would would stretch. I would do all sorts of stretching before going into my exercise. It's very important to stretch your body, every part of your body, before you do anything, not just exercise, but before you start your day, you need to stretch your body. Every animal does it. We are also, we as humans need to be doing it as well. So those things have been extremely, extremely helpful, not just, for my physical health, but for my mental health. Because I mean, I think if I hadn't exercised and kept meditating and have had the support system that I had, and guidance from the people around me, from friends that are very spiritual or into the meditation and mindfulness and yoga and all of that, I would have definitely struggled during the pandemic. But luckily I was able to do that, and we have a park very nearby, Regent's Park, which I was able to go to almost every day or every other day. And luckily we had amazing weather from April onwards. So I took advantage of that. I was running a lot. I started reading a lot more than I've ever read. So those things.
I was going to ask you about the parks, as a matter of fact, because I've heard that in London you have beautiful parks, and not just one. There are several larger ones, such as Regent's Park and Hyde Park, and there are like smaller ones as well. But I think it's a blessing to be able to, visit these parks and be in the nature, clean air, and have, the strength and mindset to go out and, work out even for a short period of time every day. So thank you for that. And on that note, you mentioned physical and mental health, which I agree, and I think they're very important because our success is directly related to our physical and mental health. So I want to ask you something before we conclude the interview, and that is, what is your advice to someone who is watching this interview, and especially I'm talking about younger students, and especially female students, who are looking at this interview and saying to their friends or to their parents, I want to be like Noor Soussi. What is your advice to them?
I have a few pieces of advice. I want to start off by saying, it's the first thing is it's so important, which I know we all know, is to have confidence in yourself. I say this because growing up as a teenager, as a young adult, even in my early 20s, I struggled. I struggled with confidence and self-esteem, and it's so important to have a positive mindset, and positive outlook on life, and have a positive outlook on yourself. It's so important to be mindful of the things that you do and the things that you say and the things that you put into your body. So back to what I was saying as far as mental health and physical health. When you have a healthy mind and body, you automatically feel better in every aspect of your life. You end up thriving in every aspect of your life. I would tell young people that it's so important to take time off in your day to take care of yourself, to be mindful, to meditate, to just focus on yourself, focus on your breath, because I mean your breath is the root to everything. So it's important to just take time off social media. Yes, social media and Instagram and all that, it's a blessing, but it's also a curse in the sense that it can be extremely toxic. Obviously there are some, I mean, it's been used for a lot of amazing things, and it has been a great platform, but at the same time, what I would say is it also depletes your energy. It takes energy from you. The whole thing is it's so important to get as much positive energy out of the things around you and out of the people around you as possible. And when you're on your phone all 24 hours a day, which it's not just young people, I know it's everyone now. Parents are
Everyone.
everyone is glued to their phone, is glued to their laptop, is glued to social media. And as much as, yes, it's a tool for good, it also takes up a lot of one's energy. So it's important, if you can, to avoid being on your phone all the time. It's so important to read. It's so important to be out in nature. It's so important to nourish your body and your soul and your mind. And I would say, you know, I know that young adults and females in particular, actually not just in particular, but females, but from my own experience, I know that we suffer from insecurity issues and body image issues, and just not to compare yourself with someone else, and to know that not everything on social media is what it seems. Just take care of yourself, be good to yourself, have confidence in yourself, and love yourself. And that's where it begins. And it takes time. It takes time to do these things. It's easy to say love yourself and do these things, but if you start by just taking some time off in the day to do something for yourself, to be grateful, to be mindful, it's so important, and you'll see what a huge impact it has. And back to your health and exercise, it's what you put in your body is so important. If you put in sugar and artificial sugar and all that kind of stuff, it only takes your energy from you, and it does not end up making you feel good, even though for that minute or for that second you get that high and you eat it and you're enjoying it, but right after. So just, I say this and I'm repeating this because, I mean, with the whole pandemic, with the restrictions, with everything that's happening, you have to keep your immune system up. You have to have a healthy mind and a healthy body in order to pursue anything in life. And yeah, love yourself and take care of yourself before anyone else.
Those two are very important. Love yourself and take care of yourself. And I would like to say this to our audience. When you're watching this interview, please pause it here, rewind it back to 5 minutes before, and do this multiple times, and pay attention to the details of what Noor said. All these genuine, incredible, important advices, because they're very important for everyone's health, mental health, physical health. And I think it's very beneficial for all of us to rewind back and again watch this last 5 minutes of this conversation, because I think it's very essential. And dear Noor, I would like to thank you for lending us your time today. I know it's early morning there in London, so I appreciate you agreeing to be our guest. We're very happy to be hosting you, and this was a lovely conversation, and I wish you the best.
Thank you very much, Daria. Thank you so much for having me on your platform, and I salute you for what you're doing and taking this initiative. And yeah, I wish you all the best as well. Take care. Thank you so much, and have a good evening.
Thank you very much. So, our dear audience, I would like to thank you all for being with us until the end of this interview. Take care of yourself, and please rewind back 5 minutes and watch that part multiple times. Share this video with your friends. Follow us on our Instagram and YouTube channel, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And see you next time. Take care.
Bye.
Hi everyone. Thank you for watching until the end of this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow our Instagram page, and share this video with your friends. Also, if you have extra time, please check out our other videos. Thank you, and see you next time.